Hi y'all. Today we are going to be using the Pixi Dust Designs No Bunny Like You new die and stamp set. So this die does two little bunnies that come together and hug. So you've got their body, their heads, the outlines, ears, their little bunny tails, some grass, and then these stamps are for their face, and then we have our sentiment stamp. So that's the set we're going to be used. This is part of the new spring release. And then here is what the bunnies look like. So they kind of come together with their cute little faces and they're giving each other a nice little bunny hug. They come apart, can come together. This is going to be a good one that you could use for the new pop-up card A die set as well. I could see them kind of coming together to give each other like a little hug in the middle. I think that would be really, really cute. But we are going to use this on a triple fold or trifold kind of card base that I have already created. And let's go ahead and get started. I've got some pieces cut out already. I'm going to put that to the side, and I've already got my pieces cut out. So we're going to kind of do some ink blending and putting, kind of everything together. We are going to start with just putting our pattern papers that I've selected onto, oh, say hi. Colden saying hi. So we are going to go ahead and put all of our pattern paper pieces that I've already die cut that are going to fit onto the card base, and we're going to assemble that first. This is the Trio Fold A2 card size from Scrappy Boy Stamps. So it comes with what this shows, and then there is an add-on that allows you to cut out this additional size and piece, which then cuts an inner layer for the inside and for that. So I kind of wanted that, which will allow it to be a nice little stand up, and we can put our sentiment like down there. So that's the idea with this. And of course it's Scrappy Boy Stamps. That's a trio fold card. I love a good interactive card, and you can see all of the pieces that come with it. There are, some banner outlines and dies and these little filigree ones. I think initially it was thought of maybe to use with this kind of style. I don't know. But anyway, there's a bunch of little pieces in here, and I really like this. I love a good interactive card. Okay, so let's get a glue in. This pattern paper is from my stash. Actually, y'all hear me talk about my crafty mom a lot, and that's because, I feel that one, crafting can be kind of expensive, and I was a young single mom, and when I started really into crafting, and she is the one that had the money. So she, was the one that would take me on like little craft retreats and so on and so forth. And I've really, I've always been creative. I've always loved art and all of that, but I didn't have the money for it, and she did. So it's kind of been our thing together. And this paper comes from that. And I mean paper because it is paper. It is actually like scrapbook paper, but I really liked the pattern and wanted to use it. So that's what I had selected. That's the piece we're actually going to work on next, so that we can get our sentiment laid out, and then we can kind of come in and we can work on our bunnies. I have my Misty out, and I have that piece of just plain white cardstock, and I used the die that cuts out this piece, this rectangle piece, that's what I used to cut this. And then I just went and cut a rectangle piece that was just slightly bigger and would give me kind of the outline look that I wanted. And I have my "There's truly no bunny like you" sentiment. That is a cute sentiment. So that is what we are using. There we go. I think that is pretty center. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. And because this is a new stamp, I figured it was going to stick there. I'm just going to kind of rub it a little bit. I know that there's like some kind of stamp conditioner, that's what it's called, and that works to kind of remove the residue that's on the polymer stamp. But I don't have that, and I've never used that before, so I just kind of do what was the original trick I learned many years ago, which was just to kind of like pat it and use your own oils to kind of remove that. I've got my Altenew Obsidian, I cannot speak today, pigment ink, and that is what I'm going to use. I am going to do some ink embossing. So I just have some clear embossing powder, and I'm going to use that. And that way I can really kind of get my sentiment nice and, ooh, that looks good. That looks really good. So I'm going to get my sentiment with the clear embossing on it. I'm going to put this away and clean that in just a second. Now, one thing I don't worry about is the, what am I trying to say here? I don't worry about powder. The powder, when it comes to clear on like a sentiment like this, if all I'm doing is stamping and then embossing that, because I'm not going to ink over this at all. So I don't feel like I need to really worry about if powder got, you know, in other places. It'll be fine. Got my wild heat tool on the second setting and it's just heating up. And then I can come in here with a good swirl and then you can see it melting. Okay. So now, see, this is why I made it as thick of a border as I did, because I wanted those flowers. If I would have cut it smaller, I would have lost a bit of the flowers, and I really didn't want to do that because, you know, I wanted to tie the flowers in. So now I'm going to put this down. And then I'm going to position this a little up. So the thing that we want to do here is I want to actually have it where this is a little raised, so you have kind of like a little stopper on it, if that makes sense. So I think what I need to do, oh dang, you know what? Let's see, did I mess it up? I did. Oh well, you know what we're gonna do? Do it again. Let's put that aside. We're gonna still use this because I'm just gonna cut another layer to go over here and emboss that, and we're just gonna kind of layer it up, and that'll be our stopper instead. So give me 1 second, let me get all that out. I love the Scout because I can hold it with one hand. I can literally pick it up, everything up, and I have this right behind me for things just like this when I need to come in and just have a quick die cut. There's truly no bunny like you. How many people celebrate Easter? Do a lot of people celebrate Easter in a traditional biblical sense, in a, like as in the Christian faith, or do you celebrate from a just a having fun, kids, Easter egg hunting type? There we go, and that would be how it's gonna sit. So now I can put this down. And I really do want there, because this is kind of big, right? I want it to have a little bit of an edge of the pattern, just so it's not butted right up against it, but I don't want it too far up because that's a pretty big bend for this piece. And that's how it'll sit. I think that's fun. I have my bigger Altenew sticky mat out, and I've actually laid all of my little bunny pieces, and I have some distress inks and little daubers just so we can do a little bit of ink blending around each of these. Now, the ears for the this bunny over here are this pink. So how this actually lays on here, I wanted it to be where I had like kind of some different colors, because when this lays on here, it's kind of going to kind of keep that belly, you know, kind of the darker pink, and that's what I wanted. And then those will lay in there. But I do want to, you know, add a little bit of like touch of some ink here. Oh, this is actually not the ink. Let me get that. Here's the ink. I wanted to use Kitsch Flamingo. Now, I'm not going to do any ink blending on this piece, but I wanted to just show you what my base layer is, but I'm going to stick that over to the side, and we're just going to focus on just a little bit of ink blending. I'm not going to worry about this tail, because the tail itself is also, we have like a little piece for it. I have it in my tray. So these little white pieces are actually going to go on the tail. So I don't, you know, I don't really care about if I get the tail or not. And I know that this is really light, and the reason I'm using oxide is because I wanted it to be light. So I'm just kind of pinking up around the edges a little bit on this bunny, but it is very subtle, but that's what I wanted. I wanted a very kind of subtle look because we do have the darker pink color and layers that are going to go over this. So this is really kind of just adding a little bit more pink to kind of add some highlight, as you can see around that. So it's not just this kind of flat pink. That's why we like our, you know, ink blending around our little die cut pieces, right? So I think that is good. And then this little piece is the arm. We're going to put all of this on together. We'll put it together, so you don't worry. All right, and then I've got fossilized amber here, and I'm going to use that for the yellow. It's kind of an orangey like yellow, but I thought it would go really well. I'm just going to start real light because I know that this kind of will add a little bit of orange. It does have a little bit of an orange undertone, but it's, again, I'm just trying to work off of the card stock color that I already have, which is, you know, clearly yellow, but just adding enough there. And I don't have any other color layers to this, right? So I know the head is going to go over that piece, but I really want to kind of focus on the belly, and then the face is going to be a bit covered as well. So this is what is going to go over that. Let me see if I can get that. So see, when it goes over, I'm really focusing on that little belly piece, but the reason I'm also doing this is to, you know, add some additional highlights to that. And then we have our bunny face that goes over there, so I'm not so worried about that piece. I'm really only focusing on the areas that are going to be truly kind of, you know, visible here. Yeah, I like that. Now I'm going to go a bit heavier for these little ear pieces because those are just like these pink ones, and then go within the ears. And that's all really great, right? But I want them to actually be darker so that it like is really more highlighted. So I'm actually going to go over the whole thing to make that. And I hope that the camera kind of picks this up. And I could have probably pulled out the ink, distress ink versus this being oxide, but you know, it would have come across a little darker that way, but that's not what we're working on. And then we're going to do our fun blue bunny over here. And this is Mermaid Lagoon. And same kind of thing. I'm really going to focus more on like this kind of belly area for my base layer. Of course, around, you know, kind of the tips of the ears, and then around just those edges of the face. I like this blue, but you know, it's, if you don't have a lot of other colors, kind of like doing the two-tone, then, you know, pull out your inks and do the ink blending. Not only is it a way to highlight certain elements on your cards or within your die cuts like this, but it's also a way that you can change the color of your cardstock, right? So we are changing the color of these pieces of cardstock. I'm just making sure I have them the right way. Completely, right? That is very different in color. So, you know, I know we think about it when it comes to like ink blending of backgrounds and stuff like that, but with some of these like elements like this, do the same thing, and having that kind of base layer of the same color and starting from that really does kind of elevate, I think, what you're doing, because you still have a little bit of that base as a blue, and then you're adding that color on top, so it kind of really marries together very well. Yeah, yeah. So now what I have here is my stamp tool. I brought that back out because I want to do the little bunny faces first. So what you'll see is they have this kind of like little cheeky, I don't know, whatever. And you can see one has like little lashes on it and the other one does not. I don't, you know, honestly, you could use whatever one, however you want to do it. So I don't think that there's like a true way of doing this other than this little piece, this little line right here kind of is almost to me like the cheek pushing up when the head is tilted. For example, I'm going to bring out my little piece to show you what I mean. The head is tilted. So I looked at this as kind of like as if you're tilting your head and maybe your cheek or whatever hits your shoulder. And then it's kind of pushing, you know, that little furry face kind of in. That's how I did it. Plus, when they come together, you'll kind of see how they come together. And with their faces, you know, you don't, it's, I don't know. I don't know the best way to describe this. I'm so sorry. But it's almost like with the way that their faces are, they almost need to be opposite, right? So little line here, little line there. Although I think honestly, you could probably do it whichever way you want. So if you wanted to have, you know, two non-lashed bunnies and then two lashed bunnies, you know, go for it. Do you. But for the sake of what we're doing, we are going to follow my original train of thought with these little bunnies. So this is one that we are going to do here. And I'm just lining it up kind of on the face where I think it needs to be. Again, it's a little cheeky. It's a little cheeky. And I'm going to put down this just to hold those ears and this in place. Sometimes my mat doesn't want to hold the little sticky pieces. And I'm lining the eyebrows. I don't know, this is kind of hard to see. But I'm trying to line the eyebrows so that they are straight across. But my bunny head is going to be tilted because that's the shape of the base, right? So you can see that if it's this way, then I want it to be straight. I want it to be straight, but then it's going to be tilted, whatever. And I think placement is just kind of wherever you want this to be on your little bunny. But I know that you need to have some space maybe for that arm if it kind of comes up a little bit. So I think we're good with that. These are such cute little bunnies, and I love that they come together giving each other a hug. I don't know if anybody saw my other video where I did kind of that puppy love, and I used the pop-up card A die set from Pixi Dust Designs, and I had the inside brings kind of these hearts or whatever together, and I had little puppies on them, and they were coming and bringing each other like little gifts. So that's kind of what this makes me think of as well. And there we have it. There's our little faces for our bunnies. Okay, so I think we're ready to begin actually our assembly. I'm going to start with the head and kind of the bodies, and then go to my couple of little smaller pieces here. So let me get my tweezers. Okay, so I clearly lifted that up a little bit because my arm is also going to kind of need to come in here, but I don't really know the placement yet. And I want to make sure that I place it kind of properly. So I'm going to leave that up there a little bit because I want the head kind of coming, I think, over the arm on this one, Okay, so now on the other ones, it's actually going to line up where I want the arm to kind of come over because it's kind of coming up over the top of kind of the bunny's face. So I'm going to put the bunny face down first. So I guess for this one, just remember, put the body and I guess the arms on first and do the head last. I totally forgot about that piece. Oopsie. There's no, like, I would say, real way of doing this other than they go in the center of the ears. So there is kind of a flatter side, and then this side is a little bit more rounded. So to me, I would think it would go more like this. So that's the way I'm going to put it, with the more rounded side towards the bottom. But I'm just positioning it kind of in the middle. Oopsie. My goodness, what I get on there. And then this one, I'm going to kind of match to that lowest side. Oops, I got a little bit of glue oozing. Don't, too much glue, too much glue. I knew I had a bit on the tip of that. Okay. But look at the ears and the different, I love that additional like blending there. That makes things a bit easier. I'm just going to put a dab of glue onto the bunny tail and then use my pickup tool to place that down. Very cute. Very cute little bunny. Okay, so now that I have the bunnies together, and you can kind of see them here, and just isn't that just adorable with the double? Like, I love that pink belly and, you know, which you can create with just ink, right? If you have a darker pink ink, just go over that pink and get those effects. But I wanted to show how you can kind of, you know, add some additional little interest with having two papers that you're using or two different cardstocks. Okay, so now we have our arm here and we need to figure out how that's going to align. So with our little, you know, other ones here that I created so I can kind of show you how this comes together, this arm is already fixed, right? We can't really do anything with that, but we can figure out like, how do they come together and where does our arm need to be to hug this fun little other bunny? So that is what we're going to do. I found the easiest way to do this, in all honesty, was to put them together kind of where they would, where this one would kind of come in, like here, hugging maybe like the little friend or whatever. But then I can then figure out like where I need to, oopsie, let's get them back together. I can then figure out where to place the arm, not under his head, not under her head or their head or whatever. And it's almost like the belly kind of almost goes into this, I don't know, little crease. I don't know if it's meant to be that way, probably not, but that's the way I did it. So what I want to do is I kind of want to take this, put it where I want it, and then I can slip my little glue piece or my little arm piece there and figure out kind of how far out, where it needs to be. I think that's really good placement. So I'm going to hold them together, because this is the only piece, honestly, that you have to figure out how it's going to go. And I don't think it needs to be like completely low, but it doesn't need to be like really high either. What do we think about this? I just put a little bit of glue, so I'm not adding a ton of glue. And then their arms and the little bunny faces can sit like that, which I really think that's really cute. And then that way you can see maybe a little bit more of the belly. Oh, I kind of like that, if they come together like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just press all of that down. And then take my glue and go just under that rim of that neck or face, whatever. Okay, so now we have our little bunnies together, and these are the two that are going to go on the inside, and then we're going to put this one on the outside. I have a little bit of an idea for the outside, and so I'm going to show you kind of what we're going to do when we get to that, but let's work on the inside piece of our card. So we have our card, and this is the piece I'm talking about. We are going to line all of this up. So I'm going to kind of be working, though, from a semi, I don't know, propped up state so I could kind of see, but I'm going to show you what we're going to do, because I want my bunnies to actually be coming in here. I'm going to glue them together because I like this positioning. So I'm actually going to glue their little bellies. We have some little grass element pieces, and we're going to add these into like our little kind of card here, but I'm going to offset this just a little bit so it can be layered, or I'm going to layer it, but offset. So that way we have more kind of peeking out. I haven't decided, you know, I think we're going to do it like that with a little bit of that. So let me get my tweezers. And this is going to go down here, and then our bunnies are going to kind of stand on it. Okay, I have some extra little pieces. So I know that these two are going to go for the front. I want to put these on the front with that little guy. And I thought about maybe even popping in the pattern to it. So if I wanted to, I could pop that pattern and kind of do like almost like a little triple. Oh, whoops, sorry. And almost do like a little triple layer here, which could be really fun. But I have some extra little pieces, these two extra pieces. And I think I may add them in on the side just to create a little bit of extra grassiness to our area. I'm going to start with these pieces because I'm going to need to chop off the ends. And we could ink, I guess we could ink these up as well. But I didn't. Not quite sure how much of that I want and don't want. And then we have a little bit of grass peeking up, which I really, really like. And so when that sits on our, there's something going on with this piece. Okay, here we go. I think I've messed with it too much. My bad. Okay, so that way when it sits like this, we have our little grassy pieces. And then we're going to put this piece down, and it is going to be where our bunnies are going to sit. So we're going to kind of keep them here, and I want it really at that base. So I don't care that it's going to overlap this piece. This is where I want it. Meaning overlap, I don't care if it kind of comes below the line here, because I can do whatever I want to do. Right? We can do whatever we want to do. And then we have that. So great. All right. Now I need to place my cute little bunnies in the grass. I'm going to start here because I don't know exactly where the faces and everything are going to end up gluing completely. So now that we have the inside of our card done, right? Isn't that so cute? And with the peak of it. So I'm hopefully, this I love because it is literally just a peak. Now we could have pushed that up a little bit more, but I love the little peak. I think that looks really cute, and bunnies are just so cute and adorable. But we need to work on the outside, and I'm going to do this one pretty center since this is, I don't know, whatever. The center one. Oh, I actually want to go up a little bit because I'm going to layer the other pieces over. Remember, we're going to put these over. So I want to make sure. Yep, that I get it to sit right. Okay, so let me layer then this piece on. And I'm not going to, I guess, adhere fully, maybe, the tips, because I kind of like the little, I don't know, grassy organic feel to it. And this is just cut out of some green glitter cardstock and some scrap cardstock that I had on hand. So I don't know exactly what it is. I just know that I like it. I'm going to put my bunny right here, kind of where that seam is. And then he can have his flower, which I'm going to kind of tuck back into here and behind him. So I'm only going to glue this piece because that's really where I want him to be positioned. Okay, so I found a little flower in my stash, And I'm going to go ahead and get the flower kind of put right in here. I think that is very cute. So, and then we can get our bunny glued to him and then that, or to the flower. And then we'll get our bunny glue down to our card. So we have our sentiment here on the inside, but I really feel that I want to have a sentiment on the outside. So I've got a couple ideas. One, I could put one, like a little one there. I could just leave that alone, put one here or put one there. So I decided to pull out my Better Press plate and die set, which is the spring bunnies. And I'm going to use this Hoppy Easter. I think that that will be really cute and work really well on our card. And I've got cotton cardstock. This is Better Press cotton cardstock here, and it's taped onto the top plate, and then I have my sentiment there. I've got my black Better Press ink because I want to just do this in black to kind of mirror um, the inside of the card. And I'm just going to dab and kind of twist it a little bit. That's what they say works best. And that looks like it's good. Now, I have heard a bunch of people saying that when they use the Better Press, that you don't go, you're supposed to only go one way, right? You go forward. And if you try to go backwards, it'll skip. And I think that may have to do with how the plate pops and this inside shifting. There are several things that you can do to mitigate that happening. I have not yet tried them. I may try in the future. So I press it down myself and then I kind of run it through and hold it. And then I can run it backwards if I want to. And then I can remove, lift off of the plate. And then there we have our Hoppy Easter sentiment, which is just beautiful. And it really, I think it's hard to see on the camera, but it really is like debossed in there. So letterpress. Okay, so we have the front of our card, and I have now our nice, oops, sorry, come on, focus, Hoppy Easter, you know, letterpress sentiment. And I'm either thinking here or up here, but I think that I'm actually going to put it down here. Well, but that makes it kind of left heavy, right? I could put it right there. That's too close to him. I don't like that coming out of his head. I'm going to put it down there. Okay, so I did put a little bit of foam adhesive already on here, but I'm going to add some glue, little glue drops, just to make sure that it stays, because this foam adhesive is kind of old. So yeah, I think that's going to be where we're going to put it. And this also allows me to kind of wiggle it a little bit. And there we have it, our finished card using the No Bunny Like You die set from Pixi Dust Designs, which includes the sentiment stamp and the stamps for the little bunny faces. I think that this turned out really cute. I'm glad that we added that little Hoppy Easter sentiment to the front. I really like the ink blending around there, and then just pulling some little flower elements from my stash. Another great way to use the kind of hugging arm is holding something. So, you know, you can get real creative with that. And then when we pop it open, we have our fun, cute bunnies sitting there, and it can be on display. I really like that. I think that's very cute. And I really hope that you enjoyed this card today, how I made it. And I hope to see you in the near future. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be made aware of more crafty fun to be had. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for supporting me by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video.